A regular board meeting of the Board of Trustees of the McAllen Independent School District will be held Monday, May the 8th, 2023, beginning at 5 p.m. inside the Dr. Ricardo Chapa Boardroom of the Administration Building at the McAllen Independent School District offices, 2000 North 23rd Street, McAllen. Items listed on this agenda may be taken in an order other than as shown on the agenda, and unless removed from the consent agenda, items identified within the consent agenda will be acted upon at one time. At this meeting, there may be discussion and action by the board on the items and subject listed as follows. Item number 1, call the meeting to order. Item number 2, the invocation. I'd like to ask Trustee Conrado Alvarado to lead us in the invocation.
Thank you, sir. Almighty God, we come together for the good of our children and our schools. Give us your wisdom as we make decisions that will affect them today and the years to come. Help us work well together, recognizing that each of us, parents, educators, and community representatives, are here because we love children and we want what is best for them. We ask for your blessing and your guidance. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Trustee Marco Suarez, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Item number 4 is public comments. We do have
public comment rules.
3 speakers that are listed for public comments. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board. The board is unable to address you in return. You'll hear the timer go off at the 2-minute mark. We'll give you a warning at 1 minute, 30 seconds, 15 seconds. Let me go over the rest of the rules for you. The board encourages public comments at all board meetings according to the board policy BED local. Board meetings, public participation, and related district administrative procedures and practices. Persons wanting to make a statement to the board are required to register with the superintendent's secretary 1 hour prior to the start of the scheduled meeting. Audience participation at a board meeting is limited to the early stages of a meeting. At all other times during a board meeting, the audience shall not enter into discussion or debate on matters being considered by the board unless requested. Each participant is limited to 2 minutes per meeting to make public comments to the board. At regular board meetings, the board shall permit public comments regardless of whether the topic is an item on the agenda posted with notice of the meeting. At all other board meetings, public comments shall be limited to only items on the agenda posted with notice of the meeting. The board shall not deliberate or decide regarding any subject that is not included on the agenda posted with the notice of the meeting. If an issue mentioned is on tonight's agenda, the board will defer discussion of the issue until the appropriate time during the meeting. Should the speaker drift from the stated subject or becomes disruptive or abusive, he or she shall be given 1 warning. If a second warning is required, then the speaker may forfeit the remaining time allotment. The board shall not tolerate disruption of the meeting by its members of the audience. The board has adopted complaint policies that are designed to secure at the lowest administrative level a prompt and equitable resolution of complaints and concerns. Please refer to the following policies. For students and/or parent complaints, that's policy FNG. For employees, that's policy DGBA. And for citizens, that's policy GF. Copies of the district's policy are available on the MISD website at McAllenISD.org. Our first speaker is Amanda Murray, and she would like to congratulate those seniors graduating top 10 from all MISD high schools. Good morning, good afternoon, ma'am.
Hi, good afternoon. I'd like to start off my remarks by issuing a sincere congratulations to the students who are graduating the top of the McAllen ISD high schools. You've made your city extremely proud, and even strangers such as myself. And hopefully one day maybe you'll be one of my colleagues. And I can only hope that you serve as great role models to my children who are currently in 2nd grade, kinder, and pre-K within McAllen ISD. You may remember that I stood up here a couple weeks ago to talk about how both my 2nd grader and my kindergartner both had physical altercations, unwanted physical altercations in class, and those are working their way, in school, and those are working their way through the grievance process. When parents bring their children to school and leave them at the doorstep of a McAllen ISD elementary school, middle school, high school. There's this contract that kind of exists that's not explicitly stated, but we drop our children off and we expect when we pick them up at, 3:30, they're in the same condition that we dropped them off in. This past Friday, my pre-K-er, who's 4, she was the last of the children that had not experienced
1 minute.
any in-school violence, and I received a phone call at 3 o'clock saying she had been punched in the stomach during dismissal. So clearly we have a problem, and the more I look at the totality of the situation where we have 3 of my little girls being assaulted on school campus, I realize that this may be a culture that exists within the school, and that culture starts at the top at Gonzalez Elementary. I refuse to believe the principal when she says that there's nothing that we can do to prevent these kind of
30
situations.
seconds.
I do not want to throw my hands up in the air about this, and I'm asking you not to either. As we learned this weekend, elections have consequences. Parents, post-pandemic, are frustrated. We do not want to see our children get hurt in school, and we believe there's something that we can do. So I'm
15.
imploring the board again to please address these issues, because something is going on, and it's not being addressed. And in the meantime, children such as my 3 little girls are continuing to get hurt while on McAllen ISD campuses, particularly Gonzalez Elementary. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Our second speaker of the day is Lupe Chavez, here to discuss the superintendent recommendations for contract, school safety, and security. Good afternoon, Mr. Chavez.
Thank you. I can see the timer, so
Okay.
I don't need your. So my name is Lupe Chavez. I'd like also to show my gratitude and appreciation to all you hardworking kids. I got into Texas A&M Kingsville as a sophomore in high school, University of Arizona as a junior, and attended the University of Southern California. And I'm from Las Milpas. I have children in the district. I actually ran for school board once upon a time. But safety is an illusion in school. I don't know if all of you realize that, but it's an illusion. I mean, you all saw the headlines. You see what happens in Uvalde. Law enforcement people didn't even save kids. That's the reality here. And it's true. It does start at the top. We had, as a school district, had to issue directives on basic leadership to our superintendent. And I've been trying to get in touch with him ever since ever since you all hired him. And additionally, I've been trying to tell the school board about election fraud in the city of McAllen and how it impacts how you receive funding from the federal government, because there's briberies going on. I went to the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley president's office at Rio Bank for the same reason, because the president of UTRGV didn't want to return my calls the same way this superintendent did, and the superintendent of PSJ. And it came to the point where McAllen PD filed false arrest warrant with, guess which municipal court judge? Mr. Aliceda. So there's a lot of crimes going on that get reported, but administrators don't do their jobs. And we have to issue directives, and we have to pay attorneys to do investigations all over again. So things aren't going to get better unless the leadership changes at this level. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And lastly, we have Jorge Sainz with the discussion civil engagement using qualified quorum candidates capable of holding public officials accountable or negligence from current leadership's faulty standards in excellence. Good afternoon, Mr. Sainz.
Good afternoon, and I was a 04 graduate when superintendent was first starting out, and I commend you for your efforts while I was there, because I try to uphold what I would call a stand-up citizen, but when we encounter leadership that don't know how to take care of the morale or have people gather in one accord and create a unified organization, this is what you're going to see. A lot of disgruntled people creating conflict amongst themselves. And that's what I'm encountering from multiple agencies, multiple districts, multiple representatives that don't even represent me, that can't even hold their own and have a conversation with an adult. They think interpretation, that you can read this and you're going to be able to understand like comprehend like the critical thinking that you need to apply to interpret one single paragraph. I asked an officer to interpret a sign on the fence why it was locked, and he said, "You're not allowed to go in there, it's locked." I said, "You know what, I'm done talking to you. If you can't interpret what that sign says, I need a supervisor." I've had issues with the police department. I filed complaints. I filed complaints against the VA care, medical system, mental health, behavior center. It's all about quality control and policy compliance, how you were saying. People don't understand how to read what Mr. Ken Paxton says. In 1988, James Bryce wrote, that sunlight kills the germs of corruption that can infect government, and his words remain true today. As Attorney General, I make it a priority to encourage open government and to enforce laws and mandate it when necessary. The Texas Public Information Act assures that government entities give citizens access to information about what public servants are doing on their behalf, information they need to gain a more complete understanding of how their government works and hold their public officials accountable. Texas government does not belong to elected officials, but to the people of Texas.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to item 5, the recognitions. Item 5A, recognition of the 2022-2023 McAllen High School Top 10 graduating students. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Tonight we recognize the 2022-2023 McAllen High School Top 10 students, and I did want to commend our students for being in the top 10. And we're not talking top 10%, we're talking top 10 students. And this is a high-performing school district, so to be one of the top 10 students says, you know the importance of hard work. You understand the resiliency that it takes to be at this point. So to all the families, all the moms and dads, uncles, aunts, grandmothers, grandfathers, community members, we're very, very proud of these students here. So at this point, Mr. Mark May will introduce them to us.
All right, Dr. Gonzalez, we're ready to start with McAllen High School. And joining us is Alberto Villarreal Canales. Also, Jake Fallick. Jeffrey DeGroot, Jorge Cavazos Cuellar, Ana Karen Garza, Natalie Leguis, Gerardo Zermeno Simon, Niles dos Santos de Oliveira, and Iracema Baserto. And they are joined by Assistant Principal and Dean of Instruction, Stephanie Friedland. Parents?
Item 5B is the recognition of the 2022-2023 McAllen Memorial High School Top 10 graduating seniors. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Tonight we recognize the 2022-2023 McAllen Memorial High School Top 10 students. And once again, we're not talking top 10%. These are the top 10 students. So to all the students that made it to this point, congratulations for your resiliency and your hard work. Also to the moms and dads and grandmothers and grandfathers and family in the crowd. It's a village that it takes to raise a kid that performs at this level, so we're very, very proud of your entire family as well. And at this point, we'll turn it over to Mr. Mark May so he can introduce our students.
All right, let's start with Vincent Onrubia. Maria Jose Guerrero Gallegos. Cecilia Ramirez. Camila Moreno Juarez. Catalina Arriaga. Asa Solis. Fausto Ramon. Bradley Williams. Kyle Fong. And our principal at Memorial, Mr. Pete Avedez.
Everyone, ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. All right, hold it there.
Parents?
Let's hear it for the Mustangs.
And by the way, these pictures will be up on our McAllen ISD website tomorrow as well.
Item 5C, recognition of the 2022-2023 James Nicky Rowe High School Top 10 graduating seniors. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Tonight we recognize the 2022-2023 James Nicky Rowe High School Top 10 students. Very proud of the students for their hard work and their resiliency. To the mothers and fathers in the audience, grandmothers, grandfathers, uncles, aunts, congratulations as well. We know that it's a family affair, but this is a high-performing school district, and we're very proud of the fact that these students are in the top 10. And Mark will tell us more.
All right, we'll start with Shay Nicole Aguiardo. And next is Dana Michelle Garibaldi Signs. Followed by Lillian Grace Vidal. Evelyn Giselle Valero. Kevin Cardenas. Samuel Ryan Impelido Alvarez. Adalberto Raul Arguelles. Olivia Madison Pavelic. And the principal at Nicky Rowe, Monica Kaufman.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Very good. Hold it for parents.
And these photos will also be found at McAllenISD.org. And just search for the gallery, photo gallery.
Hi, Touche.
Item 5D is the recognition of the 2022-2023 Achieve Early College High School Top 10 graduating students. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Tonight we recognize the 2022-2023 Achieve Early College High School Top 10 students. We're very proud of these students. Not only are they numbers 1 through 10, but they also earned associate's degrees simultaneously. So we're very, very proud of the fact that our Achieve Early College High School is a 2-time National Blue Ribbon School, and it just shows how hard it is to be in the top 10. So congratulations to these students, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Mark May for more info.
All right, and from Achieve Early College High, we're going to start with Isabella Hinojosa. Sofia Flores. Earl Velasquez.
One more. 1, 2, 3. Very good. Hold it for parents.
Okay, big smiles.
Item 5E is the recognition of the 2022-2023 McAllen High School graduating class valedictorian and salutatorian.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. We're excited to be talking about the McAllen High School graduating class valedictorian and salutatorian. We know that to be number 1 and number 2 in a class of such highly competitive students says a lot about the work ethic and the resiliency. So to both the valedictorian and salutatorian, we're very, very proud of their families and our students, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Mark May.
All right, thank you, sir. And starting with McAllen High School, their valedictorian for 2023, Alberto Villarreal Canales. Salutatorian, Jake Ballack. And McAllen Dean of Instruction, Stephanie Friedland.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. All right, very good. Hold it. All right.
Item 5F is the recognition of the 2022-2023 McAllen Memorial High School graduating class valedictorian and salutatorian.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Tonight we recognize the 2022-2023 McAllen Memorial High School graduating class valedictorian and salutatorian. Very proud of both of these students. They worked very, very hard to be number 1 and number 2. And Mr. Mark May has more information. And once again, to the families, congratulations to moms and dads, uncles, aunts, and everyone else. This is a family affair, and McAllen ISD is very proud. So Mr. Mark May has our students.
All right, sir. And from McAllen Memorial High School, their 2023 valedictorian is Maria Jose Guerrero Gallegos. And the salutatorian is Bradley Williams. And our principal from Memorial, Mr. Pete Alvarez.
1, 2, 3. All right, hold it.
All right.
Moving on to item 5G, this is the recognition of the 2022-2023 James Nicky Rowe High School graduating class valedictorian and salutatorian. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Tonight we recognize the 2022-2023 James Nicky Rowe High School graduating class valedictorian and salutatorian. Very proud of the students and their families for all the hard work that they put in. As we know, Nicky Rowe is a very high-performing campus, as our other high schools are, and we're very proud. So Mr. Mark May has information about these wonderful students.
Yes, sir. Our 2023 valedictorian for Nicky Rowe High School is none other than Olivia Madison Pavelik. And the Nicky Rowe salutatorian, Adalberto Raul Arguelles. And our principal from Nicky Rowe, Mrs. Monica Kaufman.
And you know that she played in the All-Star basketball game yesterday? So it's not only she's smart, she's an athlete.
Yeah.
All right, very good.
That's smart, right?
All right, straight ahead, big smiles, everyone. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. All right, very good. Hold it.
Okay, one more. That's it. My last one. I swear I won't. You were not film? No. In space. I did. Say
Moving on to item 5H, this is the recognition of the 2022-2023 Achieve Early College High School graduating class valedictorian and salutatorian, Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Tonight we recognize the 2022-2023 Achieve Early College High School graduating class valedictorian and salutatorian. So again, these students are pursuing, have earned associate's degrees simultaneously with their high school diploma. So we're very, very proud of these students and the hard work that they've put in at this two-time National Blue Ribbon School. So Mr. Mark May has more info.
All right, our valedictorian for 2023 at Achieve Early College High is Earl Velasquez. And our salutatorian from Achieve is Sofia Flores.
All right, very good. Big smiles, straight ahead. Ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Very good. Hold it. All right, very good. Great job. We got all our valedictorian students. What are we doing here?
Yes. Yeah. We'll take a picture of all our valedictorians and salutatorians. For one final photo.
All right, straight ahead, everyone. All right, big smiles. more. 1, 2, 3. All right, hold it there for parents. All right, very good. Congratulations.
We're going to move on to item 5I, the recognition of the National Association of Music Merchants Foundation, naming McAllen ISD one of the best communities for music education. McAllen ISD Fine Arts Department has been named one of the best communities for music education for 2023 by the National Association of Music Merchants Foundation. Ms. Deborah Loya, Director of Fine Arts, will share some more information.
All right, thank you, Ms. Loya, and we're going to start. She's our Director of Fine Arts, Deborah Loya. I would like to add that this is the 11th consecutive year that McAllen ISD has won this prestigious award that goes to only approximately 6% of school districts in all of America.
Thank you, Ms. Loya. Congratulations again. Item 5J is recognition of the McAllen Education Foundation donation for the Study Abroad program and Uncharted Learning Top Performer Team Award. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Tonight we recognize and thank the McAllen Education Foundation for their donation to our McAllen ISD Study Abroad program and Uncharted Learning. We appreciate the McAllen Education Foundation for everything that they do for our students in our district. And we have Mr. Mark May, Director of Marketing and Communication, who will introduce our McAllen Education Foundation members that are present with us.
All right, since 1996, the McAllen Education Foundation has generously supported our schools, students, and teachers. And tonight we want to recognize the fact it has lent its support to 2 McAllen ISD programs. With us tonight are Vice President of the McAllen Ed Foundation, Jennifer Stone, Treasurer Christine Wallace, Board Member Henry Herrera, Board Member Aisha Gonzalez, Board Member Jamie Rosas, and Board Member Luis Vela. The foundation has made a donation of $30,000 for the Study Abroad program. This summer, 20 students will travel to Spain to study at the University of Salamanca, one of the oldest universities in the world. They have made a second donation. This one is for $10,000 to the Uncharted Learning Program. Dr. Gonzalez. And the money will be used to award the top performing team on May 17th in Uncharted Learning. In addition, we have a certificate of thanks and appreciation from Dr. Gonzalez to the Education Foundation.
All right, big smiles, everyone. Very good. 1, 2, 3. Very good. One more. 1, 2, 3. Awesome.
And we'll wrap up our recognitions with item 5K, the recognition of outgoing board members. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Tonight, we honor Trustee Conrado Ito Alvarado, Board President Tony Forina, Trustee Marco A. Suarez, and Trustee Daniel D. Vela for their contribution and service to McAllen ISD over the years. And now, Mr. Mark Mayer, Director of Marketing and Communications, will read a short bio on these outstanding individuals.
Mr. Conrado Alvarado has served the McAllen ISD community for 11 years on the Board of Trustees. He served from 2006 through 2009 before adding 2 more terms, which began in 2015. He has served as board secretary and twice has served as president. He was the board president in 2015-16 and again in 2020-21. He is the executive director for Texas Health Plan, United Healthcare Community and State. He has served on the board for the Fellowship of Christian Athletes and is a retired captain in the U.S. Army Reserves. He has earned his parachute badge, Army Service Ribbon, National Overseas Service Medal, and has been decorated for Army Achievement for service during Operation Iraqi Freedom. He is married to Lily Garza Alvarado. They have 3 children. He graduated from Memorial High School and Texas A&M. Now, Dr. Gonzalez, I know you have a few words.
Yes, sir. I did want to thank Trustee Alvarado for the countless hours you spend away from your family, sir. I know that McAllen ISD is a high-performing school district, and that would not be possible without trustees like yourself that give of your time and provide a service, and the children benefit on the backside of your service. So we appreciate not only you serving our country, but also you serving our district and doing it with grace and honor. So on behalf of the entire McAllen ISD family, and on behalf of my family, my personal family, I do want to thank you for all that you've done for our district, sir.
I appreciate that.
Mr. Alvarado, would you like to say a few words?
I'll keep it brief because there's a little miscommunication in the Alvarado family, and I didn't invite my family. So I told him it was the 17th, so it's a little bit my fault. But I will use this time to talk about my wife because she's not here, and I know she never watches these meetings. She's been here 19 years school district, and I've been on the board 12 years actually, and she's never watched one. So I know she won't get back to her. So let me just say how it started is because of her. So in 2004, I was driving back from Brownsville from work, and she said, hey, by the way, you were elected PTO President Garza. I said, how? I wasn't even there. I'm not even a member. She goes, I registered you, and I put your name in, and we all voted for you, your PTO President. I'm like, oh, okay, are you asking me? And, obviously I've been married, 25 years, so she doesn't have to ask. We did it. And back then, we had the bond, and I knew we needed it. I went to speak for it and just got really involved. And someone said, well, if you're so invested in this bond, why don't you run? And I'm like, I'm going to. And we were driving home, and I said, did I just commit myself to running? And so that's what happened. And, it was great 4 years back then. I didn't run. After that, 2009, because of my kids, they were too involved, so I decided to take a break, and I came back 8 years ago. And I loved every second of it. Education is a big part of my family. My wife is obviously a teacher. My mom taught at Mac High. My sisters are teachers. So we all come from background. McAllen ISD has been part of my family for a long, long time. I graduated from, schools here, Rayburn, Island, Lincoln, Memorial. My kids went, here, Garza, Fossum, Rowe. We loved every experience of it. And I will tell you, because I say this all the time, they were prepared for the next chapter, and they've done extremely well. The graduate is Texas State, A&M, UTSA. Now I have to say this because I used to give Mr. Vela a hard time about this, but I have one going to Texas now for grad school, so I know. Hard for this Aggie to say that, but it is what it is. So the bottom line is I've enjoyed being a part of it. I know with last time when I stood up here in 2009, I was very emotional because I didn't want to, I felt there were some things I needed to do, but my family needed me. Now I know it's time. My family needs me in a different way. Anybody that has kids that are your empty nesters, you want to go spend as much time with them. And I see some grandbabies here. I don't have any yet, but I want to prepare for that. So I knew it was time for me. But I will say this, that McAllen ISD will continue to be a big part of my family. My wife is still going to be here, still doing what she does, and all the other countless teachers, because that's what is the beauty of the school district, is what they do. And they work hard every night. They work without praise. They go the extra mile for our kids. I see it all the time. It's stressful, and they do it for the love of the kids. So I know we're in good hands. I know we're in great hands. Dr. Gonzalez, just want to thank you.
Thank my rest of my peers. It's been a pleasure serving with you. Administration, Ms. V, we're going to miss you, but you're also retiring, so you've had a bigger impact on the school district than I could ever imagine than myself. So I just want to thank you for everything you've done, and all the principals and teachers and everybody else. And so how about that? I was going to say a few words. How long did it take? But just thank you for everything.
All right. And Mr. Alvarado, if you would come forward to the riser, and we'll present you with a token of our thanks.
We might have to do this again at the 17th circle.
And we'll have this photo with the superintendent. And it's the board's custom to honor all outgoing board trustees who have served as president by having their portrait placed on the president's wall on the north side of the room over here. So, Mr. Alvarado, if you come toward me.
We have a request for one more
I'm sorry.
picture.
Yes, Mr. Alvarado, here's your portrait, and you may do the honors of placing it over here.
Smile, Ito.
Your plaque right there, sir.
Ito, your plaque.
No, we're going to give it back.
He wants to die. He didn't want to get in trouble. He wasn't kidding. No one tell her we did it tonight, okay?
Not 10 pictures today.
Dr. Gonzalez, are you ready for the next one?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. We'll move on to going in alphabetical order here to Tony Farina, who has served the McAllen ISD family for 8 years. He has served as secretary, vice president, and twice as board president, the first time in 2017-18, and again this school year, 2022-23. That makes him our outgoing board president. And he works for Hidalgo County Precinct 4 and has for many years entertained Valley sports fans by servicing as public address announcer for Toros soccer, Vipers basketball, Killer Bees hockey, Bronx and Vaqueros athletics, plus professional baseball. He's a member of the Holy Spirit Catholic Church and has volunteered for many civic organizations across the valley. He's married to his wife, Miriam, and they have 4 children. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, Mr. Farina, on behalf of the district, very proud of your service, man. You've done a tremendous job. Not only you're a voice of the valley, but you provided a good voice for us, as not only as your time as president, but any time you were on the board. I know that when you're part of a high-performing school district, it can't happen without great leaders, and I do want to commend you for everything that you've done on behalf of the entire McAllen ISD family, on behalf of my family. Appreciate you and wish you the very best in your next chapter, sir.
Thank you, sir. I think I got the same email that Ito got, so we'll do this again on the 17th. Thank you. Thank you to Dr. Gonzalez, Dr. Ponce before him, the administration. Very appreciative of all of you and your hard work and efforts for McAllen ISD. I appreciate the folks that elected me twice into office, and will continue to serve. Thank you so much.
And Mr. Farina, if you could come to the riser to receive a special plaque as our outgoing board president, and we'll take a photo with the superintendent. Yep. And Mr. Farina, I have your portrait if you'd like to place it on the wall of presidents.
Baby face right there. Why do I have this beard? Just trying to get it. That's okay.
now we'll go to Mr. Marco Suarez, who has served the McAllen ISD community for 8 years. During this time, he has served as board secretary, vice president, and was president of the board in 2019-20. He is a graduate of McAllen High and the University of Texas San Antonio. He was the proud owner and founder of Marco's Burgers and Fries restaurant and is currently working for Climatech. In addition, Mr. Suarez has served multiple community organizations, including the City of McAllen Traffic Committee and the Rio Grande Valley UT San Antonio Alumni Association. He is married to his wife, Juanita, and they have 2 children. Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes, sir, Mr. Suarez, wanted to thank you for your hard work and everything you've done. I know time away from your family over the last 8 years to put our district in a position to excel. It's not easy to be a board member because it just comes with a lot of hours away from the family. So McAllen ISD would not be as successful as it is without your leadership. So we appreciate everything you've done over the last 8 years. And on behalf of the McAllen ISD family and my family specifically, I want to congratulate you, sir, for all your years of service and wish you the very best in your next chapter.
Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. I too would like to thank the community for allowing me to serve for 8 years. It was an honor to be elected. And again, it started at a PTO meeting. So if you're not on the board, do not go to a PTO meeting because you'll become a board president. You'll become president really quick. The next group of people I'd like to thank are the employees of McAllen ISD. It's been an amazing journey for me and my family. My family grew knowing all these individuals, from the bus drivers to the custodians to the cafeteria workers to the teachers. It's been an awesome experience to meet so many new people. I'd like to thank the leadership team, beginning with the Board of Trustees that I've had the pleasure of serving with. There's no doubt that our district is in great hands. I'd like to also thank the executive leadership team. What you do is amazing. From our state legislators always changing things on us and us asking you the questions, and somehow the next day you have to have the answer to them, to come together every Tuesday after board meetings to try to figure out what just happened between that team of 8 and what's the new direction. And finally, to Dr. Gonzalez. It's not easy to be Tom Brady, right? Some people don't like, there'd always be critics, but that's okay. That's why you have a team of 8 to continue to move forward. We've been blessed at McAllen ISD to have great superintendents who are all on that wall, and I think you're definitely one of them. Finally, the last group of people that I need to thank is my family. And I'll start by saying that I no longer have an excuse to not answer Juanita's phone calls. I promise to answer after the second call or the second ring. But I will say that Saturday after I got the results and we went home, I thought about something, and I haven't told my family this, but I wanted to thank you for allowing me to do what I wanted, and that was to serve my community. And it took time away from my son, my daughter, and my wife, but it was well worth it. I'm okay. I knew this was going to happen to me. I'm an emotional kind of guy. But I will tell you that I have no regrets. And one thing that I taught my son is that we have an obligation to serve our community. And because of that, after we take our photo, I would like my son to have the honor of placing my plaque up there. And as I look at all those previous board members up there, there's not a father and son combo. So in a couple of years, son, you could be sitting up here too, all right? Love you, kid. And I did tell my wife, so you can go.
Come get in the picture. Marco, come here, Marco.
If you go the wrong way, you're gonna get mad.
There's a process.
He's a 6th grader, we are looking for NIE.
All right, straight ahead, big smiles, everyone. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
And now, Mr. Daniel Vela has served on the McAllen ISD Board of Trustees since 2007. That's 16 years of service to our school community. He has also held numerous offices during that time. These include Assistant Secretary, Secretary, Vice President, and President. He served as president in both 2010-11 and the 2018-19 school years. He was named State Businessman of the Year by the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce in 2013. He is the owner of Lee's Pharmacy, and he has served many leading roles for other organizations, including past president of the Longhorn Pharmaceutical Association, chairman of the board for Rio Bank, and former director of McAllen National Bank. His biggest pride is reserved for his family. He's married to Alejandra, and they have 4 children, all of them McAllen ISD alumni. Mr. Vela himself is McAllen ISD alum, having graduated from the Mackay Bulldog class of 1974. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, did want to take this opportunity to thank you, Mr. Vela, for your service. I know that you're a pillar in the community, whether it be the pharmacy world, the business world, the banking world. We know that you've done tremendous work for our community. And 16 years being a board member, that's a lot of time away from the family. And I see your beautiful children. I see your beautiful grandbabies, and how blessed they are to have a granddad and a father like you. That's a very high standard, sir. And I just want you to know that learned a lot along the way, and I wish you the very, very best. So on behalf of my family and the McAllen ISD family, I want to thank you, and it was a joy working with you, sir.
Thank you, Jim.
Yes, sir.
Well, 16 years and senior privilege lets me write down what I'm going to say because it's hard to put into a few minutes the emotion of 16 years. God, Marco.
That's why I stopped.
As my service of 16 years comes to an end on the McAllen ISD School Board, I would like to begin by thanking my family for their unwavering support and encouragement. I have appreciated your flexibility through the unexpected meetings and your understanding when I returned home much later than anticipated. However, you all didn't seem to mind too much the football games Friday night when we got to park inside the stadium, right? I would like to thank my wife, Alejandra. She has been my biggest believer, my biggest campaigner, and she has been the greatest advocate of the McAllen ISD School Board's mission and values. To my children, all of which are proud McAllen ISD graduates, your constant belief in me has been a lasting motivator throughout these years. You are living proof that our labors as trustees are truly worth it. And because I love my family so much, and because I would do anything to protect them, I have to say this. To all of those that hide behind keyboards, and all of those that encourage them to spread lies, malicious lies, innuendos, and half-truths about my family, let me say this. They are off limits. If you have a problem with me, my door is open. Come see me face to face and I'll set you straight. I am proud of the way my family responded with dignity and grace. Moving on. I was recently asked what made me run many years ago. My response was simple: service. I reflect upon the years on the school board and have found some numbers to help me translate the impact that this position has had on my life and on the surrounding community. 16 years of service translates to 25% of my entire life and more than half of my children's lives. 16 years of service translates to more than 20,000 high school graduates, of which 4 of those graduating classes I was with from K through 12. 16 years of service translates to 4 different superintendents that I had the privilege of learning each of their unique ideologies, characteristics, and personalities. The first superintendent I served along was Yolanda Chapa. She was especially impactful in guiding me as I learned how important
the numbers of the school district were. It's hard to run a business if you don't know and understand the numbers. I would spend hours every Monday morning in her office at 7:30 going over the numbers, and I thank her for that considerably. 16 years of service translates to 64 different graduation ceremonies at 2 hours apiece, equating up to 128 hours of graduations. Approximately, because this is just board meetings, approximately 576 board meetings at approximately 3 hours apiece, equating up to 1,728 hours. Wow. And 16 years of service also translates into $3.84 billion. Think about that. 16 years of service translates into $3.84 billion worth of school district budgets, and $3 billion of that directly contributing to payroll staff. It has been my pleasure to serve alongside an estimated 25 board trustees over the years, each of which brings a diverse background and perspective. Solutions to challenges were always looked at in a different light, shaped by the wisdom developed through each of their life experiences. We always knew where we wanted to go, but at times we didn't know which route to take. Compromise and discussion were key to a successful board. My first impression when starting out was the unparalleled professionalism of the McAllen ISD staff, and how fortunate the district was to have this team. One would think that it would be impossible to build a personal, professional relationship with staff. However, they were built upon a shared goal of improving our districts every day they worked here. Though the absence of our daily interactions may now create a void in my life, my heart will always be filled with the joy of having worked alongside each and every one of you. Initially, my decisions were based on the betterment of the students, then the staff, and then finally the community. Throughout the years, I had the realization that the students and staff are part of this community. My decision-making shifted as I equated the good of the community to the good of everyone. It's called community service, and I have come to realize that the more we serve our fellow man in appropriate ways, the more substance we add to our souls. It has been a great honor and pleasure to have served you in this capacity. I stand by my every vote, my every decision. I have no regrets to my actions while taking and holding this position. I hope that I have in some small way been able to contribute to the greatest that is McAllen ISD, both in the past and in the future to come. There's a majority of a new board coming into, and I'd like to leave them with a few words of advice, wisdom, whatever you want to call it, or you may disregard. But I urge each and every one of you to learn every aspect of the school district. It is a business and it runs by the numbers and its people. Find your niche, pursue it, and completely understand it. Collaborate, discuss, cooperate, and enhance relationships built with fellow trustees. You will accomplish more and go farther if you truly work as a team of 8. Remember, McAllen ISD is held to the highest standards of integrity, honesty, and leadership. Thank you.
The whole family. Bring all the babies over here.
All right, very good.
Family members, you're welcome to join.
Daniel, you didn't bring all three kids? That's why he's retired. Gorgeous baby. Yes.
All right, straight ahead, big smiles. Ready? One more. Sorry, one more. One, two, three. One more, sorry. One more. There we go. Very good. Awesome. Thank you.
And Mr. Bailiff, if you'd like to do the honors for the President's Wall.
No excuses. Baby.
Now we just insulted a Ruben.
Gotta have her in the
Out
gym.
there. There we go.
Now our Fab Four.
Smiles, everyone. Ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Very good. Thank you.
Okay. Do I leave now?
I get my check.
Moving on to item number 6, the public hearing to discuss the 2022-2023 McAllen Independent School District ESSER Master Plan. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Tonight, we will be discussing the ESSER Master Plan updates for fiscal year 2022-2023. Ms. Laura Williams, our Director for Special Funding, will share more information. Ms. Williams.
Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. Good evening, Dr. Gonzalez and Board of Trustees. I am here to provide an update on our 2022-2023 ESSER Master Plan. I would like to begin the presentation just highlighting that all of our ESSER funds provide our district with the opportunity to be able to invest in the future of our students by allowing us to offset local operating costs to fund some of the projects within ESSERs 2 and 3. Highlighting the purpose of ESSERs 1, 2, and 3 is to safely reopen and sustain the normal daily operations of our schools, to address the impact the coronavirus pandemic has had on our students, and then to prevent, prepare, and respond to the coronavirus. Both of our plans, our return to school plan and our master plan, are posted on our website. The return to school plan is required to be updated a minimum of every 6 months, and or if there are updates from CDC, TEA, et cetera. Our ESSER master plan is to be updated when there are changes to the proposed allocations. Now for ESSER 2 and 3, we have 4 main buckets: our student learning, student needs, long-term emergency closure, and safety. As you can see here, all of the various projects within each one of those 4 main buckets, and the estimated allocations for student learning is $67.5 million, student needs $25 million, long-term emergency closure $17.9, and then safety $14.5 million as of May 4th. The pending projects that we have currently ongoing are our black boxes, which are in the design phase, UTRGV McAllen ISD Collegiate Academy, which is in construction, our network operating center, which is in the design phase, also known as the NOC. We have ongoing school kitchen upgrades, renovations, currently working on Brown, De Leon, Garza, Gonzalez, Jackson, Rayburn, Roosevelt, and Wilson, and then listed other future potential projects for renovations at our elementaries and high schools for kitchens. And then we continue with HVAC upgrades throughout our district at all of our campuses. And that is the update for the 22-23 master plan, ESSER master plan.
Does anyone have any questions for Mrs. Williams?
I do. What's the NOC?
The Network Operating Center, that is it provides the opportunity for, or houses all of our networking systems. Currently, we have a system at Crockett and then at the McAllen Library. So we need to be able to have that housing center within our district in order to facilitate if something goes down, to be able to get in at the spur of the moment. With it at the library, we have to wait on individuals to be able to allow us to get in. So it is a ESSER 2 project, the networking, the NOC.
It's part of a disaster recovery plan. So we have a substation in Crockett, which is now housed. So we're trying to move it into the FMO department. So we do have one at the library currently, but if one goes down to the other, we have to have a backup system. So it's part of a disaster recovery plan.
And what's the funding on it? What's the budget?
I can send you the document.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mrs. Williams?
Just a point of clarification, Mr. Dania. Mr. Dania, it says on here, public hearing. I know on our stuff says, so are we allowing the community to speak?
Generally, yes, sir.
Okay.
All right.
And I can comment, Ms. Felix, as far as the budget for the NOC, it's $885,000.
Okay. Any
other
trustee
questions?
Saliva?
If I may, Mr. President, you're going to open it, or you want me to go ahead and ask the question and open it to the public? I don't want to interfere.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. What's the timetable to completely exhaust these funds?
For ESSER 3 will be September of 2024, and we're in the closeout for ESSER 2.
And ESSER 2 release September of this year, should be
Yes.
closed up for that?
Yes.
With a carryover year.
With the carryover
They have
year.
carryover.
But by September of 2024, all federal funds for ESSER 2 and 3 should have spent already or exhausted.
But then you carry it over, or that includes?
That includes the
Yes,
carryover,
that is
yes.
Okay, just to be clear again, that includes the carryover, so they should be exhausted. Unless we use local funds to supplement whatever those ESSER projects were, ESSER funds are no longer available.
We will not lose a dollar.
Okay. That was my next
Yes.
question.
Yes.
We're going to
No.
exhaust.
Sure,
Yeah.
believe me.
Yeah. Okay. All right, fair enough. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. We're going to open up the public portion. And Mr. Sines, I invite you to come forward to the microphone, just so that you'll be on the record, sir. You have a total of 2 minutes to discuss, sir.
Okay, I'm not too familiar with procedures on how organizations are able to access funds that are allotted to the community when the community doesn't really have insight on who's orchestrating this. Like, I just found out about it today, but there's also issues that have been brought to my attention on how governmental faculties are able to just dismiss timelines, timetables, timescales So just to kind of give an illustration, sometimes rockets go up, sometimes they blow up in the air, sometimes they land back on the ground. And we don't even know what the public or our neighbors are saying. I know it's only 100 miles or 60 miles, whatever. But when I see how Federal Energy Regulatory Commission responds to
1 minute,
my
sir.
concerns, and I get a letter that says, United States of America, company I'm not going to state, is sending me a notice that they're suspending environmental review schedule of the proposed whatever it is that they come up with data. You're a big man on numbers. Sometimes data doesn't really make sense. Depends on who's correlating the data.
30 seconds.
What are you mixing and matching? Who's interpreting the data? And what I see here is a disaster in the making. The problem is that
15
we're
seconds.
not able to orchestrate something that's efficient enough to actually even help us come out of this ordeal. Like, look at what happened with the trees. How long did that take? What kind of timeline
6,
scale was that put into
5,
place? And who's
4,
actually following
3,
through to actually go
2.
over the feedback that they gave
Time,
to
sir.
these vendors that are providing assistance for us when it doesn't even meet my expectations? So one thing about me, like when I aim and I shoot, I'm on target. So
Thank you, Mr. Sines.
this is, like, I understand your efforts are on one accord, but it needs to be better.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate your time. Anyone else want to speak in regards to the ESSER funding? Last call for discussion on the ESSER funding, and we will move on. Board, I'd like to bring up, if I may, item 13B1, the report regarding the delinquent tax collections for the period of January 1st, 2023 to March 31st, 2023. We have a motion by trustee Alvarado. Is there a second?
Second, Mr.
A
President.
second by trustee Saldivar. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Mr. Vela, one last time. Vote passes 5-1. Mrs. Kelly Salazar, partner from the firm of Linebarger, Goggin, Blair, and Sampson LLP, will present our delinquent tax collections. Good evening, Ms. Salazar.
Good evening, President Forina, Dr. Gonzalez, and esteemed members of the board. Kelly Salazar on behalf of Linebarger, Goggin, Blair, and Sampson to present the delinquent tax collection report for the period of July 1st through March 31st, 2023. Our delinquent tax program on behalf of McAllen ISD continues to focus on two basic premises. The first is to collect from the individual taxpayer first, and secondly, use the tool of litigation only as a final option to collect. During this reporting period, we completed 2 demand mailings, mailing over 2,100 statements to delinquent taxpayers within the district. We made or received over 2,500 phone calls, had 106 payoff requests, and we knocked on 272 doors of taxpayers within this community, educating and informing them about their delinquency and doing our best to get them to work with our team to resolve their issues. Regarding lawsuits, we filed 52 lawsuits this period, disposed of 45, and we have 348 lawsuits currently pending involving the district, representing over $1.5 million owed in base, penalty, and interest. Your third quarter collection highlights, you'll see that we've collected over $411,000 in base, over $175,000 in penalty and interest, for total collections this reporting period of over $586,000, which represents an increase compared to the prior third quarter. Looking forward to the future, we'll continue monitoring and advocating in the delinquent lawsuits, doing our best to work with taxpayers to avoid litigation. We have a mailing scheduled for this month, and place properties for sale only as necessary as a final option to collect. That concludes my report. Be happy to answer any questions. I believe last time we're here, we had a question from Trustee Vela regarding any change in the delinquent tax roll compared to the prior year. And as a follow-up to that, there is, as you can see in our collection comparison, the number below represents adjusted delinquent tax roll. Your delinquent tax roll currently is about $700,000 less than it was the same time last year. So that represents less in the bowl to collect from. than there was last time this reporting here, so I wanted to follow up with you, trustee. Be happy to answer any additional questions that anyone might have.
Any further questions for Mrs. Salazar? None heard. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Getting back to the regular agenda, item number 7, to recess to closed session. The Board of Trustees may go into closed session pursuant to Section 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, 551.076, and 551.089 of the Texas Government Code to discuss the following. 7A, discussion of HR recommendations for school year 23-24. 7B, discussion of HR employee resignations for school year 22-23. 7C, discussion of superintendent's recommendation concerning the renewal of 2022-2023 employee contracts of teachers and other professional personnel for the 2022-2023 school year, policy DC legal. 7D has been pulled. 7E, discussion regarding school safety and security. 7F, pending and/or potential litigation. And 7G, possible real estate acquisition. At 6:17, this board is now in closed session. It is now 6:51, and this board will resume in open session. For the record, there was no action taken while we were in closed session. Moving on to item 9A, discussion and possible action of human resource recommendations for school year 2022-2023. HR submitted a list of recommendations for the school year under separate cover for discussion during closed session, and administration is requesting action on this item. What say ye, board?
I move, Mr. President.
We have a motion by trustee Saldivar and a second by trustee Alvarado. Any comments, questions? Queries?
Yeah, that's a good one.
None heard? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The ayes carry it. Were you voting on this one, Debbie?
I'm abstaining from voting on. Thank you very much.
Items 5-0, 1 abstention. Item 9B, discussion of human resource employee resignations for school year 2022-2023. Human Resources submitted a list of resignation and retirees for the 2022-23 school year under separate cover for discussion during closed session. Although it's for information purposes only, we will not take action because Mrs. V is going to retire. So we are not taking action on your retirement, ma'am. You are not allowed to do so.
It's been rejected.
Item 9C, discussion and possible action of superintendent's recommendation concerning the renewal of 2022-2023 employee contracts of teachers and other professional personnel for the 2023-2024 school year under policy DC Legal. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. As per DC Legal, a superintendent has sole authority to make recommendations to a board regarding the selection of all personnel. A board may accept or reject the superintendent's recommendation regarding the selection of district personnel. The list being provided by Mr. Todd Miller, our Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources. Our current contract employees being recommended to earn a term or probationary contract for the 2023-2024 school year, and administration is requesting action on this item.
Mr. President, I will be abstaining from this.
Trustee Aliceta will be abstaining from the discussion. All in favor signify by, or is there a motion to approve?
Yes, I'll second.
We have a motion by trustee Saldivar
okay
and a
with
second
Mr.
by trustee Alvarado. Any discussion? None heard. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The ayes carry it 5-0 with 1 abstention. Item 9D has been pulled. Item 9E, the discussion regarding school safety and security. We thank the chief for his time tonight and always appreciate his hard work and efforts. Mr. Saldana, item 9F, any pending or potential litigation?
None, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. 9G, possible real estate acquisition.
None, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Saldana. Item 10, the superintendent report, the 2023 Teacher of the Year Luncheon. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Last week, we held our annual Teacher of the Year recognition luncheon, and it was a wonderful opportunity to recognize some of our outstanding teachers. And we also named our district elementary and secondary teachers of the year for the district. And we have a short video that highlights the event.
Today is one of my favorite events of the year. We get to celebrate our campus Teachers of the Year. And we're such a high-performing school district that whenever you narrow it down to the best at the campus level, you just bring in high quality. So today was about being around greatness. Then we take it a step further so that we pick our elementary and our secondary district Teachers of the Year. So we picked 2 phenomenal teachers that are just going to represent us very well at the regional level. So we look forward to competing at region and ultimately getting to the state level and bring that trophy home. So we're excited about it.
We were, my principal and I were sitting next to each other, and then I heard the story, and I kind of, it sounded familiar, and we kind of looked at each other, and we were like, wait, does that mean? And then I was like, well, maybe there's 2 of us with the same story. It was just, I just couldn't believe it, and it had to have been me, and I'm just happy that my dad somehow is a part of all of this, because sharing his story was, it is a big part of who I am. And having his story along with the support of my family, my husband, my kids, it means the world to me. So it was amazing to find out that way, I guess.
I honestly was really surprised when I won Campus Teacher of the Year, and I was definitely surprised to have won District Teacher of the Year. I was not expecting this at all, and it's a great feeling to know that I did win. It brings me such pride to be able to advocate and be there for the deaf community and my deaf students.
Report, sir.
An excellent report, Dr. Gonzalez, and again, congratulations to Ms. Torres and Ms. Moss, two very different stories, but both very compelling and excellent representatives of McAllen ISD. Moving on to item 13, the board member and board committee and district reports. 13A1, the instructional services briefing. The chair is trustee Sofia Merced Peña.
Thank you for that, President Forina. We discussed recognition of McAllen Education Foundation, study abroad programs, National Association of Music Merchants. Those were already, we already went through those earlier today. We discussed a report regarding partnership with Shrinkbox, possible action on instructional material allotments for TEKS, discussion and possible action on staff travel to present at an IB conference in Dublin, Ireland, and possible action on a request for library books, ebooks, textbooks, audiovisual materials, and instructional reading materials. Possible action on a proposal for career and technology materials, supplies, equipment, etc. Possible action on training agreement for Cyberprint Summer Camp with South Texas College. Discussion and possible action on a memorandum of understanding with Hidalgo County Head Start program, and possible action on a memorandum of understanding with the Hidalgo County Head Start program for special ed. And that's our report.
Thank you, trustee Peña. Item 13A2, the HR briefing. The chair is trustee Daniel Vela.
Thank you, Mr. Farina. Items this evening, some have been discussed already. HR resignations and retirements for the school year 22-23. Approval of superintendent's recommendations for renewal contracts 22-23, and other professionals for 23-24. And then we had a late one, I believe, Mr. Miller, is that correct? They review and possible action tonight on the resolution of the Board of Trustees of the MISD regarding the delegation of authority during the severe thunderstorm damage on April 28, 23. Mr. President, that is my report.
Thank you, trustee Vela. Item 13A3, the district operations briefing. The chair is Conrado Alvarado.
We had a short meeting, not a lot of agendas. The most notable one is pending item 15C1. We're going to discuss the black box theaters and going to our second-ranked vendor. So that's the main highlight.
Thank you, sir. Item 13A4, the business operations briefing. The chair is Debbie Crane Aliceta.
We already discussed the delinquent tax collections, and then we will be discussing, well, we already had the public hearing for ESSER update. Later on the agenda, we're going to talk about the April budget amendment, the intent to apply for a camera grant, and the intent to apply for a Stop the Bleeds kits.
Thank you, trustee Aliceta. Item 13A5, the board officer briefing. Trustee Aliceta, Suarez, and myself had a chance to meet with Dr. Gonzalez to arrange the agenda for the order that it's in now. Moving on to 13B2, the report regarding Shrinkbox. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The Instructional Services Division will present on the partnership with Shrinkbox, and we have Dr. Rosalba de Hoyos, our Assistant Superintendent for Instructional Services, who will share more information. Dr. de Hoyos.
Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. The purpose of the Shrinkbox partnership is to expand opportunities for students, parents, and school personnel in the area of mental health and school safety. The services will be to strengthen, support the current school safety plan, provide training to threat assessment to the staff and staff-student cases, as well as start an internship program, the Junior Psychiatrist Internship Program. The partnership is at no cost to McAllen ISD, and tonight we have the 3 doctors that founded Shrinkbox. Here with us today, we have Dr. Germán Corso. He is a medical doctor, trained and board certified in child, adolescent, and adult psychiatry. He holds a position as clinical assistant professor of psychiatry at UTRGV School of Medicine, and is actively involved in the education of medical students and training of residents in psychiatry and primary care. We have Dr. Daniel Gutierrez. He is a board certified child psychiatrist. He is the chief medical officer at Tropical Texas Behavioral Health. And Dr. Ricardo Irizarry. He is a psychiatrist with over 21 years of medical experience and extensive expertise in psychotic disorders. He graduated from the Ponce School of Medicine in 2001. He is the medical director at Tropical Texas Health ACT program. Dr. Irizarry proudly serves as a lieutenant commander with the U.S. Marine Corps. And they, along with Ms. Norma Cabrera, our director for College Career Counseling Department, and I were here to answer any questions.
All right, do we have any questions?
Just a comment, if I can.
Yes, sir.
Just a great opportunity, and I want to see if they want to share any words with us before, or, I mean, just want to thank y'all for bringing this. If any of you want to come up and say anything on behalf of the program?
And we would like for them to come and take a picture also.
The lieutenant, well, I don't know the Marine Corps, but Lieutenant Colonel? No.
So Lieutenant Commander in the Navy, I'm a medical officer in the Marine
Nice,
Corps.
nice.
That's why, so I'm Navy, but attached to the Marine Corps.
Gotcha.
Sir. Is he here okay?
Yeah, just right there on the mic.
Right here in the mic, okay. Well, thank you very much, Chairman, Superintendent, and board members, and guests here. I'm Dr. Ricardo Rizari. Dr. Daniel Gutierrez is back there, Dr. Corso. We started a foundation called the Shrink Box, which is a mental health foundation to try to bridge gaps in mental health awareness in our community. We have reached out to the staff with McAllen ISD and the superintendent, and we wanted to say, is there anything that we can do to help bridge that gap within the school community, the parents, and the community in general? And they have been incredible in supporting us in that idea and being great partners. And we're very excited today to not only introduce to you the concept of we have developed a medical preventive model of how we can establish the medicine prevention model into preventing school violence. And we have started those discussions already with staff. We also want to start a program, we call it the Shrink Junior Program, which what it is we want to identify juniors in high school that are interested in pursuing a career in mental health. And we want to have them come participate with us in community affairs of mental health. And then at the end of the year, then those students will be evaluated, and they will be providing one of them with a scholarship towards college to help them continue to pursue that dream of working in mental health, which is an area of science and medicine that is very much underserved. We need more kids to really be interested in mental health. So that's what we're here for to do, and also part of that is to help train the staff on how to do proper health assessment and risk assessments for kids as well. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. If not, that's all I have to say.
All right.
Mr. President?
Yes, Trustee Saliva.
Thank you. How is this going to interconnect? Is it going to be through our nursing department? Is it going to be through our counseling or a combination of both? How will this connection be to get to the training of staff and doing the assessments and et cetera?
It's going to run through the family treatment and counseling department. Okay. And so we've already have an outline of who we would start training first, and then the needs of also to staff any student cases that we might need.
And how many students that are juniors that may be allowed to be in this internship?
We're looking at 3 right now for next year.
3 or 4 total for the internship, and then one of them will be chosen for the scholarship.
Yes,
sir.
Okay. And what's the criteria, the process for being able to do it? Is there going to be some sort of?
That's what we're going to meet on next week once we finalize the agreement tonight.
Okay, but tonight I understand this is from information only. Is it an actionable?
Yes, we did.
Okay, I may be
Yeah.
mistaken how I read it.
Yeah.
We'll get to it when we get to it. Thank you very much. Appreciate you all stepping forward.
This is awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you all very much for the commitment, thinking of us. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank
Can
you.
we take a picture?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do have this listed as for information purposes
Yes.
only.
Yes, because we do need to inform the community of what
Gotcha.
we're about to partner with.
We're going to take a picture with y'all, if y'all don't mind. We're going to take a picture with you, if you don't mind. Yeah, no action. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for all. Thank you. Thank you. This is incredible.
We're very committed to our district. So.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Previous military?
Yes, Army.
Army. All right, there you go.
It wasn't gonna be the only thing, just so you know. Okay, here we go, in 1, 2, 3. One more.
Spies like us. Doctor.
Moving on to item 13B3, the report regarding the intent to apply for fiscal year 2023 Community-Oriented Policing Services School Violence Prevention Program. Say that 3 times really fast. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The Community-Oriented Policing Services School Violence Prevention Program grant is a funding opportunity that will improve security at our campuses through the implementation of evidence-based school safety programs and technology. We have Ms. Laura Williams, our Director for Special Funding, who will share more information, and this is for information purposes only. Ms. Williams.
Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. As Dr. Gonzalez just stated, we will be applying for the fiscal year 2023 COPS School Violence Prevention Program. We did apply in the fiscal year 2022 and did receive funding, so we are definitely hopeful that we will be able to acquire this additional funding. It is to improve security at our schools and on school grounds throughout our district. There are 2 application processes. It is a 36-month performance or grant period. They anticipate awarding 235 different awards. If we are lucky to acquire this grant, we will be utilizing the monies for cameras for all 3 of our comprehensive softball and baseball fields, as well as cameras at our stadium. Then, speaking with Chief Silva, to purchase 3 additional computers for a portable Raptor system that we can facilitate or utilize at any event district-wide, and then possibly intercom upgrades to 19 campuses throughout our district. Wow. And that concludes my intent to apply for the fiscal year 2023 COPS School Violence Prevention Program.
Do we have any questions for Ms. Williams?
No, sir.
None heard. Thank you, Ms. Williams, for your time.
Thank you.
Item 13B4, the report regarding the intent to apply for the Stop the Bleed grant programs. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The Stop the Bleed grant provides funding opportunities that will assist in the training of the Stop the Bleed course for staff and students district-wide. And again, we have Ms. Laura Williams, our Director for Special Funding, who will share more information. This is for information purposes only. Ms. Williams.
Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. The Stop the Bleed grant program, this year they have opened it up for 3 different opportunities. We will be applying for each one of the opportunities. The first one is for the Stop the Bleed training kit, valued at $1,000. The next grant is the Stop the Bleed response cabinet, valued at $15,000. And the last opportunity is the Stop the Bleed response station, valued at $100,000. Here are the components of the Stop the Bleed training kit. We would be able to utilize this district-wide to train staff and students with the Stop the Bleed. Here is the components of the Stop the Bleed response cabinet, providing the Stop the Bleed kits and response belts, and then a neat little area to house all of that in. And then the last grant would be the Stop the Bleed response station that emergency responders would be able to utilize, as well as other community members and staff members, students within our district. And that concludes my presentation on the Stop the Bleed.
Trustee Vella.
Thank you, Mr. President. Real quick question, Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Is there anything in those products that expire?
To my knowledge, no, sir.
So indefinite, it's not something that has to be checked every.
No, sir.
Okay, great, thank you.
To my knowledge.
Any other comments, questions? Did I hear something that the state legislature is wanting to mandate that third graders be able to take the training to stop the bleed? Is that, did I dream that? Did I hear that?
I would need to speak with Nurse Gutierrez, because this will be in collaboration with her in order to find that out, but I can get back to you with that.
Yeah, I think I understand that they want to mandate that children as young as third graders, 8 years old, be able to work the tourniquet and the stop the bleed kit. Chief?
So as of right now, it's seventh grade through 12th grade.
Right.
And what it is, the sole thing that we have to do as a district is offer the training. As far as the legislature coming down the pipe with a third grader, I've been keeping up pretty good with it. I haven't seen anything like that just yet. I know that there was talks of something similar to what you just spoke of.
Okay.
But I haven't seen anything come out just yet.
Okay. I appreciate it, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Williams. Moving on to our consent agenda items. We have items 14A through 14E. Does anybody want to have one pulled or removed?
So moved.
We have a motion to approve items 14A through 14E and a second. Comments, questions, concerns, queries? None being heard. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes carry it, 6-0. Moving on to item 15A1, discussion and possible action on the instructional material allotment, the IMA, and the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, TEAKS, certification form. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Administration is requesting that the board approve the State Board of Education annual allotment and Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills certification form for the instructional materials allotment. We have Dr. Rosalba de Hoyos, our Assistant Superintendent for Instructional Services, who is available to answer any questions, and we are requesting action on this item.
This is a three-piece motion.
Yes, sir.
Any comments or questions for Dr. Rosalba de Hoyos?
I'll move, staff recommends that the board of trustees certify that, A, the district's IMA is used only for allowable resources allowed by Texas Education Code 31.0211.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes carry it, 5-0.
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
If I may, on item number B, again, staff recommendations, the Board of Trustees certifies that for the current school year, the district has instructional materials collectively cover all elements of the Texas knowledge and skills of the required curriculum identified in TEC 28.002, other than physical education, for each subject and grade level under TEC 31.004.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Trustee Aliceta. Comments, questions? None heard. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, nay. The ayes carry it, 5-0.
I move the staff recommends that the Board of Trustees certify that upon request, the district will provide to the State Board of Education any public information for any instructional materials requisitioned or purchased by the district with IMA funds, code TEC 31.101.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second by Trustee Alvarado. Any comments, questions? None heard. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, nay. The ayes carry it, 5-0. Thank you very much. Item 15A2 has been pulled by administration. We move on to item 15A3, discussion and possible action on staff travel to present at the International Baccalaureate IB Global Conference in Dublin, Ireland. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. We have administration would like to request approval of travel for staff to present at the IB Global Conference in Dublin, Ireland, the week of October 5th through 8th, 2023. The theme of the conference is Education for an Exclusive Future. We have Dr. Rosalba de Hoyos, Assistant Superintendent for Instructional Services, who's available to answer any questions, and I do see staff from the IB as well, and we are requesting action on this item.
What say ye, Board?
So moved, Mr. President.
We have a motion by Trustee Saldivar and a second by Trustee Peña.
Will you entertain a friendly motion or to allow former board members to attend.
Any comments, questions?
Just clarification, Mr.
Trustee
President.
Saldivar.
This is something we discussed at length, and one of the concerns, obviously, is the travel costs too. But as we know, the summer months, and originally we thought it was in June, much more expensive than the fall or winter, and it's the off-season in October, so it's a significantly less cost. So if everybody's doing a query of travel costs for something like this, the time of year that they're planning to go on October 5th through the 8th is considerably less expensive than we would be normally talking about. So I think it's something that our community should have representation in.
Thank you, Trustee Saldivar. Dr. Gonzalez.
I did want to commend the Diploma Year program and the IB because the reason they're invited is because of their high performance. If you look at the stellar job that they do and how they compete on a global platform, this invitation comes because of excellence. So I did want to commend the staff that's here. I see Ms. Nino and some of the teachers. So congratulations on earning the invitation.
They're one of the tops in the state, I understand, right? So
World.
in the world, I'm sorry, yeah.
Are students
great.
also going?
No,
No,
this
just
will be just that.
Okay.
Trustee Vela.
How many are going?
We have two proposals. If we get one proposal approved, then it will be 2 staff members. If we get both proposals approved, we will have 4 staff members.
Is there any honorariums from part of IB? Will they be paying any costs associated with it?
They do get discount for the registration. Yeah, that's it. It's about $1,000.
I think what he was going with this, he wants to do a scholarship from Lee's Pharmacy.
All right. Any other further?
We're taking donations.
Any other further questions or comments? None heard. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes carry it 6-0. I will abstain from items 15A4 and 15A5, and I'll allow Trustee Eliseda to please handle those two.
15A4, possible action on memorandum of understanding number 2024-006, Hidalgo County Head Start Program. The presenter is Dr. Gonzalez.
I'm going to abstain as well. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yes, ma'am. And the administration utilizes this agreement for early childhood education services. We have Dr. Rosalba de Hoyos, our assistant superintendent, who's available to answer any questions. We are requesting action on this item.
So movement, Madam President.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Just very quick, if I may. Madam. This is the, at this point, when this program started roughly 10 years ago, it started off with about 25 students as an idea. And at that time, my wife happened to be on the Head Start program, and we were talking about our membership issues, especially at the elementary, and the pre-K importance, and she took it to their board, and subsequently led to a discussion with their director and Dr. Gonzalez, and it was Dr. Gonzalez and that director of Hidalgo County to start it with 25 as a cohort. And my understanding, we're approaching about 350 students today, of which many, and this was a question I asked earlier, are now transitioning from Head Start into our McAllen ISD family.
Yes.
And so we do get ADA for some, but not full day. We only get part of it, and they supplement the other part. And it's our instructors that are involved, which is very key for those. See, you taught me well. At least I think I'm on a good streak here.
You're correct.
Is a pre-K 3 is very important. Dr. Hoyos, Dr. Gonzalez, and others here, they're experts in this. To catch them at that age, it's very critical, important, and that's why we've been a real success over the many years. So one of the questions I did ask is how many of the students that have gone through the program have actually transitioned into McAllen ISD?
And through the years, I have data here. Through the years, we have about 64, 63 that continue with us. So one of the graphs here is that one's 2019, 2020, and we're in the 3rd year. So 64% of those students are still currently enrolled with us in those campuses. And so, and I provide this to Natalie, so she'll share it with you. We have it also for 2021. This will be the 2nd year. 63% of those students are currently still with us. and 60% of last year's. Now, this year, we have 368 students in this cohort, and 100%, checking with Ms. Lisa Cavazos, and she's here to attest to what I'm saying and see if she taught me well, is currently we have 100% of these students registered already for next year. And so they've already, 48 of those students have already selected a campus to stay, and those are our 5-year-olds already. So we have 48 already committed to our campus, and the others will come as we continue the partnership with Head Start. I also want to say that we have here our Head Start staff, Ms. Irma Peña, our director, and also her staff. And so if there's any questions for them or us, we're here to answer.
Yeah, one of the discussions we had was, and what I was pleased to hear is that we had moved them from Navarro, where they were isolated unto themselves, which is how it kind of started as the pilot there, and then it expanded to a large number. But the administration, along with the Head Start force, got them into the schools themselves, and that was the key, I think. I would think that's where they start interacting with others, where then they become part of the school, really. For all intents and purposes, they're in school with peers that they're going to see for the next 3, 4, 5 years as they go through the system, and that's where they start making those connections of relationships and relevance and the like. So, but what schools now are we looking at?
Currently, we
expanding?
have Alvarez, Escandon, Deep in Zavala, and next year we are including Wilson Elementary.
Yeah, because Wilson at this point, as you all know, in our membership, we're approaching below 400. And I know we're all concerned because 10 years ago, 11 years ago, there were 3 schools that we were looking at, and one of which we had to consider closing, which was Wilson, Crockett, and Navarro. And at that time, we decided on Crockett to close because of the way it's designed and built. It was exterior doors, no way to really secure it, et cetera, and a lot of cost. But since then, we have to close Navarro, which is real concerning. And now Wilson is really struggling with membership. So this is a great move and a great opportunity to try to get membership there. So thank you very much. Thank you, Madam President. I'm good.
Do you have any discussion?
As you can see, I love it.
Is there any other slides that, I know we have 2 new board members in the audience that you think you want to share with them?
Well, the revenue and expenditure analysis, I think it's key to share that because we do have member Mr. Saldivar asked me for utility expense, teacher, what is that we pay, and paraprofessionals that we pay for these classrooms. And I think it's important for us to share this information where for the total program, we have 18 classrooms right now. Our total utility expense is $20,394. We pay 9 teachers, 9 of the 18 classrooms, we pay 9 teachers because currently we have the model where our McAllen ISD teacher teaches half a day. We're moving into a new model next year, but our increase of teachers will not be, we will not increase the number of teachers. Head Start will provide the other 9, and they will be teaching our students all day, even though the allotment is still half a day allotment because that's what the state provides. Head Start will pick up the other teacher, which will continue to be $540,000 for those 18 classrooms. Not including Wilson. That's once it gets done, then that we will have 22 classrooms. But this is for this year. And then for paraprofessionals, we are including paraprofessionals next year. So I went ahead and included the expense there of $270,000 for 9 paraprofessionals. And then the revenue that we get, the allotment is $1,108,800. And so if we subtract the expenses from the revenue, we are still getting $278,406 to the district. So I think that's important to share.
And the beauty of that, and thank you for that, because doing the, Trustee Vela taught me well, is looking at cost analysis. We have to be looking at these things moving forward. Mm-hmm. But the other thing that it saves us, it's not showing and represented here, and I'm sure you could collect the data given the time, is the benefit of not the remediation and the re-teaching and all the issues that come down the road, in the third, fourth, fifth grade because we didn't do the foundational aspect of education at pre-K3, pre-K4.
Right.
So that's not representative. So really, the savings is even greater than that.
Yes,
for our-
definitely.
So thank you.
You're right.
Thank you so much. We have a motion made by trustee Saldivar, a second made by trustee Vella. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion passes 402. Next on the agenda is item 15A5, possible action and memorandum of understanding, number 2024-008, Hidalgo County Head Start Program for Special Education. Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes, ma'am. Administration utilizes this agreement for early childhood education services for special needs children. And Dr. De Hoyos, our Assistant Superintendent, and we have also Maribel Elizondo, our Executive Director for Special Ed, are available to answer any questions. We are requesting action on this item.
What say you, board?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Just ditto to everything before, but magnified.
Absolutely.
Dr. De Hoyos, do you have any presentation that you'd like to go over with this item?
Not a presentation, only to explain that we're doing this separate. These are the services that are provided for speech services to our students in Head Start. Obviously, if the students that are in need of these services, our staff goes out there and service them. If the students need additional services or they are more in need, then they do come to our PPCD centers at the other campuses. But we're doing it separate. There were two attorneys that reviewed the separate agreement, so that's why we're taking it separately tonight.
Go ahead, trustee Alba.
Just quick, is there a financial criteria if a student for the special ed? So in other words, if a family doesn't qualify, can they still receive services to them if they make too much money or, or something like that?
For Head Start, they
Yeah.
do need to qualify. But if the student needs special education services, they can receive services in a different,
In a different
form.
capacity.
Yes,
Okay.
through a
Yep.
different program.
Yeah, one of the things, if some family members may not be aware, it's not only financial aspect, but also military. So if they're a military
language.
family, they would qualify there.
See, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
And also language.
And language as well.
The best thing, though, is just to come try to get the services, and you'll find the right resource for them.
That's right.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. De Hoyos, and thank you to Ms. Peña and your staff for being here. Our apologies for keeping you here so late.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's wonderful. All right, we have a motion on the floor by trustee Alvarado, a second by trustee Vella. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? The motion passes 402.
Mr. President, would it be possible maybe have a photograph?
I was about to say, so we can publicize it.
I think that'd be a great idea.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
You read my mind.
I think we were all kind of thinking.
Yeah,
the same
might as
thing.
well, so they can put that. Are you all taking notes? Where's the man?
It's all recorded.
And you can talk without, from my computer. Normally I have my computer on. I just noticed that. You want more? My hair combs?
Easy, Mr. Munster.
I resemble that.
I know you do.
Ms. Penny, can you move this way just a wee little bit? Oh, yeah.
Purple or blue?
One in the second row. Yeah, there's board members. Yeah, perfect. Sorry about that. Here we go, and 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Okay. Thank you very much. Good to see you. Thank you.
Sorry, we let you know that.
No. You know what? They can use that picture and talk about this. That's a good idea.
That would have been funny.
All right, moving on to item 15B1, review and possible action regarding the resolution of the Board of Trustees of the McAllen Independent School District regarding delegation of authority during severe thunderstorm damage of April 28th, 2023. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. On April 28, 2023, severe weather impacted several campuses and facilities along with the entire city. I did want to commend our FMO department along with the city of McAllen for working hard to get our city back together and our district back together. But in the interest of protecting the health and safety of students, staff, and community, the district is requesting that the Board of Trustees approve the resolution in response to the weather event, and we are requesting action on this item.
Now, before we get to that, let me read the resolution as it is written. Whereas on April 28, 2023, McAllen Independent School District facilities were directly affected by the severe weather across the district, impacting all campuses and district facilities, the weather event. Whereas the board has a substantial public interest in protecting the health and safety of its students, staff, and community, and therefore desires to ensure that the school district and community are prepared to the fullest extent possible to protect the health and safety of students, staff, and community. Whereas the board believes the public purposes described above are fulfilled efficiently and effectively, making certain delegations as described more fully herein to the superintendent and his designee to address this situation in the best interest of the health, safety, and well-being of its students, staff, community, and the citizenship at large. Now it is therefore resolved that the Board of Trustees of the McAllen Independent School District find a substantial public purpose exists in protecting the health and safety of its students, staff, and community, and therefore in ensuring that the school district and community are prepared to the fullest extent possible to protect the health and safety of students, staff, and community. In furtherance of the public purposes so stated in this resolution, the Board of Trustees of the McAllen Independent School District makes the following delegations to the superintendent and designee in order to efficiently and effectively prepare the school district in response to the weather event. Item number 1, the authority to seek any necessary waivers from the Texas Education Agency without further action of the Board of Trustees regarding missed instructional days, low attendance, or any matters related to the weather event as part of this resolution. Item number 2, notwithstanding any other provision of the Education Code, in the event of a catastrophe, emergency, or national disaster affecting a district, the board may delegate to the superintendent and/or designated person the authority to contract for the replacement, construction, or repair of school equipment or facilities under Education Code Chapter 44, Subchapter B, if the emergency replacement, construction, or repair is necessary for the health and safety of the district students and staff. Item number 3, the authority to procure, negotiate, and execute contracts for goods and services that are necessary to mitigate, prevent, restore, and repair damage caused to McAllen Independent School District equipment, personal property, and facilities, or to protect the safety of the McAllen Independent School District students and staff, given that the weather event was an unforeseen emergency matter of urgent public necessity. Item number 4, in the event of other waivers or immediate action is needed, the superintendent and the designee is authorized to take other action and to submit or apply for other waivers in accordance with guidance and instructions from the national and state authorities and/or agency. That is the resolution as written. What say you, board?
So moved.
We have a motion by Trustee Eliseda. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Trustee Vela. Any comments, questions, concerns, or queries? Trustee Vela.
No,
You're
I have
good.
a question.
Trustee Saldívar.
What was the extent of the damage done to the structures?
Well, a full report will be provided at the next May 22nd meeting, but right now we have some properties that have been deemed a safety hazard and uninhabitable by one of our on-call
Engineers.
So we need to take quick action as opposed to waiting 2 weeks procurement process.
And this structure is, are they students in that structure?
Well, they're
they've been
not
keeping-
right now, they're not there, but they're being.
They're not using that, they're not using that part of the building.
But
So-
they're worried about things falling. So that was part of the report from.
So we're talking about one building in which there are no students currently using that space. They're in a space they're not in any danger whatsoever, and they're getting continued instruction in another part.
And possible action for like falling debris
But that's not my question. My question is there's currently in the structure that you're making reference to, that is damaged, and there are no children in that space. They're in a safe environment somewhere else. They're not in that space right now.
Yes. We additionally have some perimeters of fencing that has been damaged as well that may be exceeding our repairs costs that we need to take care of as well, so that to secure our perimeters. So we'd like to take action on those items as well. Also, any roof repairs, leaks, so we can just take care of them now before additional damage is done. We have our insurance adjusters actually started today, I believe, going around all campuses and facilities to assess.
So right now, how many campuses have shown that they are leaking at this time? From the storm, I'm sorry, directly related to, because I mean.
Directly related to the storm.
So we
Directly
have-
related to the storm of April the 28th.
We have, if I may, we have one elementary campus, a high school, and then the fencing at several places in terms of the security of the perimeter. And then there's the membrane exposed at one of the facilities that is used by staff only. So.
Now, the space in which
Yeah.
it's used by staff only, is staff occupying it
Yes.
all the time? Or-
Yes, so we did a temporary fix, because if we get any rain, it's gonna go through.
All right, is there a way that the administration could move these individuals either to a virtual setting or to another location to continue to function in their job without having to go through this? I'm not very comfortable with the resolution. That's simple as that. I'm really not comfortable with it. And so I'm trying to understand the depth of it, because it gave me the impression that children were in harm's way, or teachers were in harm's way, or staff were in harm's way, and they're not, because they can be accommodated and have been accommodated. And so I would rather see the normal procurement process, but that's just my opinion. And I may be the only one, and that's fine, but I just want to be clear as to why my position is. Having done this for a living for a very long time, we would, and not just for claims, but also for facilities and operations throughout the state of Texas, we would take the necessary steps that we would need to take to protect the property.
Well, we also have perimeter issues, right? We want to make
Okay.
sure that those are secured and as quickly as possible. I understand what you mean, they're not there, but additional rain is coming, so, and that's forecasted this week and next week as well. So we'd like to address it quickly as possible.
Yeah, I understand. But the perimeter, that could have been the sole item on the perimeter, and it could have been very specific to the specific buildings in question. So I would have been more comfortable and been very specific. And that we had gotten photographs and a report to ascertain the entire thing. As you mentioned, it's coming at a later date, but we're doing a resolution tonight. And so again, having done this, I would have prepared a detailed report to my superiors or to the company or to this body of the extent of the damage, what the initial impression, definitely the engineering report that you're making reference to, which we do not have a copy, and obviously the cost of repairs to the various campuses we're making reference to,
Well,
at
we
least
have
preliminary.
a cost of the repairs of the building that we are referencing to is about $139,000.
But we don't have a copy of it right now, do you? I don't want to belabor it, but you can see where I'm coming from, and that's fine. Like I said, I'll probably be so, and that's okay. But there's reasonings for it, and I think that was totally justifying my position. Thank you, Mr. President.
Trustee Alvarado.
And I'm going to use the example of McAllen, just because driving over here, people probably saw it. The scoreboard's down, there's the fencing's down and all that. That's going to come later to be fixed, or is that?
Correct, that doesn't pose a safety, so it would follow this is more of emergencies like
Right.
fast fixes.
Right.
Yes.
And I would take a different approach, because I saw some of our PE students walking by the stadium, and they're curious. And so I would say if you could fix some of that even sooner. I think it's because all you need is one. And, being at, I was going to say being at that age a long time ago, it just to pique curiosity, because when I was driving by, they were looking at it and they were walking towards it, and they kind of just veered off it. And so I would take the other approach, is that, whatever you can do to clean up, because I saw on Facebook there's one area that FMO fixed, that portable, y'all cleared it. I mean, it was the before and then after picture was incredible. And so I hear you, at least from but I understand what Trustee Sandoval said. I don't have his experience, so kind of went over my head. So it is what it is.
I would ask, if I may, a follow-up on it. Is there a time limit on that as far as that resolution? Because if we can amend that to put a time limit of no more than, you should be able to get all this resolved and know, as you mentioned, 2 weeks. What would you say, roughly 60 days? Would that be a fair resolution of 60 days? Is that allowed? Again, this is not total repairs for all damages. This is only subject to what the resolution's attempting to do, which, I understand where you're coming from. Don't misunderstand me. I know there's some safety concern with the fences and all that, and you got to go through a procurement process. I get all that. But I think there are going to be other longer-term damages are going to be taken. Those, I think, need to go back to a normal procurement process. So what's a reasonable time frame that you would need? On an emergency basis for the resolution?
On an emergency basis, I don't foresee too much time needed on this, Mr. Saliba, because a lot of the items we've already worked with some of the contractors that we currently have that have been on buy board or currently with the district on the emergencies that were needed that we addressed immediately. An example being the building we were talking about at the Navarro, where we have administration staff present. We had one of our roofing contractors that is currently on a cooperative. So we're taking it to that level, okay? Not just because it's an emergency, we're just gonna pick and choose whoever. We have to deal with background checks. We have to deal with, their experience working with the district as well. So that particular building is now dried in. The membrane that came off was pretty much taken off the modified bitumen, which it had at Navarro. We've gone back and secured it with a minimum mill as a temporary fix. It's adhered to the whole building, so everything is safe to go there. Now we will follow the proper procurement to be able to re-roof the whole entire campus as we were already planning on doing so. So this is just now going to speed it up.
And that, Mr. Trevino, that one membrane, having done what you've done, the temporary repair and having sealed it, is that subject to any continued damage or leakage at this time?
No, sir, it's not supposed to.
That's what I understood in what I was assessing as we were moving forward.
Yes.
Can we put in the resolution a time limit that it's 30 days okay with the administration? And then it goes back to normal process?
Yes.
With legal counsel, is that allowed in the resolution?
That's okay.
Then
If the board votes on the amended version, or there's a motion to amend.
Gotcha. Mr. President, if it's
If
allowed.
Trustee Aliceta will allow that amended?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. And it'll be 30 days from tonight.
As well.
All right. Trustee Peña?
Well, you covered one of my questions. Would there be any further damage? But you've sealed them off and you've kind of temporarily bandaged the issue.
Correct.
Is 30 days enough, or do you need 60? Because I happen to know that we tried to go to Home Depot, to Lowe's, and because everybody's making repairs, there could be a delay in finding materials or whatever it is that you might need. So is 30 days enough, or should we go 60?
The actual timeline that we're looking at is for procuring the actual projects or whatever needs to happen. As far as the delay in products availability or any of that, that comes afterwards.
Okay.
So it's just procuring the items that we need to in a faster fashion and getting them out of the way.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add that I was out that morning at 5:30 in the morning because we had a lot of damage over in the precinct, and we were out assessing damage and doing stuff. But I did see all of our ISD folks out and working, and they had damage of their own. Yeah. So I really want to thank the staff for going out there and taking care of our buildings and making sure that all of our facilities were okay and safe before going out and taking care of their own damage, because I know that a lot of us were in that same. So thank you very much for that, and very appreciative of all that y'all did.
Thank you.
All right, with the friendly amendment of 30 days to complete the task, any other comments or questions?
Well, it's completion of the procurement process, which means you apply or you submit the forms to TEA. That administrative part, the actual work is to come later on. Yeah, we're not.
The procurement.
Yes.
All right. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes carry it, 6-0.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 15C1, discussion and possible action on contract number 2023-202, Noble Texas Builders, LLC, through the request for proposal, RFP 2023-1008, Construction Manager, At-Risk Services, McAllen High School, McAllen Memorial High School, and James Nicky Rowe High School, new mariachi and black box buildings. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Administration will utilize this agreement to start negotiations with a second-ranked vendor, Ms. Alejandra Gonzalez, our Assistant Superintendent for District Operations, and Mr. Ruben Trevino, our Executive Director for FMO, are available to answer any questions, and we are recommending action on this item.
Just if you can give me a quick overview of how we got to this point, pretending I'm the two board members behind you, the new ones.
Okay, yes. So on June 13th, we awarded the highest ranked vendor. At that point, we could not reach negotiations that were within budget. So we came back to the board and asked the board we recommended that the board approve us to begin negotiations with the second vendor and get into a contract. So we're bringing the contract forward today to begin negotiations with our second ranked, hopeful that they'll come in at similar price per square foot that they did for it's the same vendor that is building our UTRGV, McAllen ISD Collegiate Academy. So we're hopeful that the price per square foot will come in closer to that price. And if that is the case, we'll be able to stay within budget. And so we're bringing the contract forward today so that we can begin the negotiations with them. Once this process once we get into a contract, if we do reach negotiations, we were looking at about 4 to 5 weeks for them to give us a guaranteed maximum price, a GMP. And at that point, we'll bring the GMP as an amendment back to the board. And then once the board approves that, they'll begin construction. And that would take anywhere from 12 to 14 months to complete.
Awesome.
Trustee Saliva.
So at this point, it's just getting approval for you to negotiate, and it's not the contract to actually build the structure.
So we're bringing in the contract to you. We'll enter in, as soon as y'all approve the contract, we'll enter into the best and final offer from the vendor, because they came in at a number 2. So we want to negotiate with them and go into best and final offer, and then see where their pricing comes in at that point. And then hopefully that negotiated price will be within budget, and we'll enter into the contract if approved by the board tonight.
But again, the actual contract to begin building on this is not what we're approving tonight. It's not, that will come to us at a later date.
Correct. Well, I think purchasing set it up, it was just, the actual contract was tonight, the way y'all set it up.
Well, yes and no.
Yeah, we haven't entered negotiations though, so how did y'all set it up?
Hi, good evening. At a previous board meeting, you all already approved going into negotiations with the second-ranked vendor. Today, we bring forward the contract, so the second-ranked vendor agreed to the negotiations, agreed to the previous proposal they've submitted. So now we actually are bringing forth the contract to be able to get that vendor under contract till hopefully 4 to 5 weeks from now. They'll be able to present a guaranteed maximum price to you. If you're in agreement with that, then we're able to continue with the vendor and continue the construction. If they're not able to bring in a guaranteed maximum price, at that point, the board will have to make a decision of whether they want to proceed or if we want to go to the third-ranked vendor.
Thank you.
Thank you. My understanding is, it answered my question. We're not signing a contract at this time with the vendor. We're still in the process. But what we did say, the board said, is if you couldn't resolve it at the second, you then go automatically to the third. We don't need to further get involved to go to the third if they don't give you the price that we had stipulated.
So this was a construction CMAR, so you agreed to it?
It's a
So now you are signing a contract today?
It's a CMAR.
And this gives the vendor the full opportunity to begin the process.
Gotcha.
And then once we get the guaranteed maximum price, that's when we determine if we're going to move forward. We would still owe them the fees of their design, but we could stop negotiations.
But the design is almost complete, though.
Correct.
Because the previous
Correct.
contractor had already.
So the pre-construction services are much lower, and the negotiation part is that this vendor has agreed to accept the previous vendor's drawings in order to be able to come up with a guaranteed maximum price.
So you'll see the amount of the pre-construction there.
And again, the drawings and the specifications, these, as we discussed earlier, were the same description of what the plat would look like or what the structure would look like based on input from the various staff.
Yes.
And nothing has changed from that?
Correct. It began with a design concept, and so once we started looking at budget, it changed a little bit, but that's how it was procured. Yes, it has not changed from the original solicitation for that construction manager at risk.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Vella. Any other further questions? None heard. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. The ayes carry it 6-0. Thank you very much, Board.
Thank you.
Item
I apologize. I
15D1,
didn't know it was-
discussion and possible action of the McAllen Independent School District April budget amendment for fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2022, ending June 30th, 2023. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Administration is recommending the approval of the April 2023 budget amendment for the 2022-2023 fiscal year, and administration is recommending action on this item.
What say ye, Board?
So moved.
We have a motion by trustee Vella and a second by trustee Saldivar. Any comments, questions?
Could we have the presentation so people in the public can see?
Thank you. So as far as our most significant budget amendments for this month, we have an interest revenue increase of our revenues of $2.3 million, $79,000, and that is due to the rates as well as the money that we have from the swap of the 194 that we're seeing those increases. We also have the 6 weeks adjustment for General Fund 199. We saw an uptick in, we did have a decrease in ADA, but we also saw increases in our special education, which means we collect additional indirect costs from our special education program. So we were able to net that out to $849,157. And another significant item is our 2021 SHARS cross report settle up, and that's a total of $929,536. And those are most of our significant items. Any other questions?
Good work.
Any other questions? None heard. We have a motion by trustee Vella and a second by trustee Saldivar. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes carry it 6-0. Item 15E1, discussion and possible action of travel for the superintendent, and the administration is recommending action on this item. What say ye, Board?
It's the trip to South Padre in San Antonio.
Yes, sir. We do have a trip, the Rosebud trip, that's on May 19th through the 20th. And then there's also June 7th through the 9th. We have a Region 1 Superintendent's Summer Leadership Academy, so that's Region 1 with superintendents in their cabinets. And we have, again, with the board we have the 2023 Association of School Boards. That's the Summer Leadership Institute. That's June 14th through the June 17th. That's, again, with the board in San Antonio. And then there's one down the road in July, 12th and 13th. This is a one with UT Austin with a select group of other districts that were selected by the university to go in and work on a problem of practice that could better the district. So that's the fourth.
There you go.
Dr. Gonzalez,
Yes.
this includes yourself and, obviously your possible immediate family. Is anybody else from staff going with you in any of these?
On the Region 1, on the Summer Leadership Institute, we do have some of the assistants. I'm not sure. Todd, are you going?
Yes, sir.
Rosalba? Bridget? Ale? Adele? Okay. Anyone else?
Is this the San Antonio or the?
Yeah, my family plus the groups that just said yes. This is the island one.
Or the island?
Right. The San Antonio one is my family and the board, and the others.
But when you say family, we don't pay for your family. Your family just goes with you like my family would go with me, so.
That is true, sir.
Yeah.
That is true.
Just want to clarify, we're not paying their expenses.
No, sir, I'm most definitely paying those.
Yeah.
All right, so we're mainly talking the Roswell one, which is in
Yes,
May.
and then July 12th through 13th, this is at UT Austin. We do have the Assistant Superintendent for Business Operations, District Operations, HR, Instructional Leadership, our Director of Athletics, and myself set to go on that one. That's with UT Austin around the problem of practice that we'd be working on. That's July 12th through 13th.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
We have a motion
A
by
second.
trustee Saldivar, a second by trustee Peña.
Just one thing, Dr. Gonzalez, I I think this is good that we're discussing what you're doing. Maybe when you come back on that UT trip, it might benefit to kind of give a recap of what you're
Absolutely. We're excited about that. When we heard from Shrinkbox earlier, we're also one of the only districts that offers emotional intelligence as a graduation requirement. It's a pre-K-12 tied into our curriculum model. So that's going to be our problem of practice on how we can continue moving on raising the emotional quotient of the entire organization to include the 3,600 employees. So that's the benefit of our framework of student learning. Much like the IB learner profile would really focus on inquiry and being knowledgeable and principled and open-minded and caring and balanced and reflective and being a risk taker. On this side, we work on self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. And we know that raising the emotional quotient is a big part of the success of an overall individual. So you're not only book smart, but you're people smart and most of all self-smart.
Are you reading that somewhere?
No, sir, I'm a college professor too,
All
sir.
off the top of his head, sir. All right. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes carry it 6-0. Item 15F, the Board of Trustee items. 15-1, discussion and possible action of the Board of Education meeting minutes. The administration is recommending action on the special board meeting of April 13th.
So moved.
And the regular board meeting of April 24th. We have a motion by Trustee Alvarado. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Vella. Any comments, discussion? None heard. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. The ayes carry it 6-0. An update to the annual announcement of continuing education of board members. Congratulations to Trustee Sofia Merced Peña for completing the post-legislative update to the Texas Education Code and identifying and reporting abuse, trafficking, and other maltreatment of children. Thank you, Trustee Peña.
And for the record, I delegated my penny once to Trustee Reglado to finish, so it's on her now.
Thank you, Trustee Alvarado. Appreciate that.
In other words, I didn't do it, so.
Item, well, we are to take action on that item, so can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes carry it 6-0. Schedule of future meetings. Special board meeting, May 15th. That's a week from today, where we acknowledge all of our students. 16B, special board meeting of May 17th. That is the canvassing of the election and welcoming our 4 new trustees.
Mr. President,
Yes,
on that
ma'am.
meeting, I thought we were meeting at 5 PM to take group pictures. But since we'll have a quorum, we don't need to post that? No, the 5 o'clock one was going to be the individual photos. Oh, I thought it was the group. Right after the okay.
Are we wearing black or blue?
We're wearing black and yellow. Black
Item
and yellow.
16C, the regular board meeting of May 22nd, 2023. And item 16D, the board workshop of May 24th, 2023. So that should be on your calendars. We have teacher retirement event on, is it May 11th? I believe that's what I saw on my calendar.
Is that this week? Day after?
That would be next, May 16th is the retirement banquet. All right. All right. No need to go into closed session. No need to return to open session. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Yes, sir, at 7:59.
So moved.
I have a motion to adjourn by Trustee
I'll second.
Vela and a second by Trustee Alvarado. Thank you, Trustee Vela. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes carry it 6-0 at 7:59. This meeting is adjourned.